Welcome to the Alpa Pandya Show podcast. Alpa is the founder of Mind Matrix Coaching, a business and mindset coach. Bob Proctor's top UK consultant, author of the book Your Superpower Mind, and BBC radio presenter. Alpa is on a mission to help you achieve anything you want through the game of minds.
Hello and welcome to the Alpa Pandya Show and Game of Minds. And it's been a long time, hasn't it? It's been about a month actually since I did my last podcast. And that's because I've been very, very excited coaching and mentoring my clients that I'm working with currently achieve their goals and talk to them about, the art of goal creation, why it's so important to have goals, and then teaching them the techniques and the formula that we use in how to manifest and achieve those goals. So it's been really, really exciting. And that's what inspired me to do this podcast and talk to you about why is goal creation an art? Because it really is an art. There's goal achieving or goal setting really is an intellectual exercise, and goal achieving is a lawful process. And that's something that I really want to talk to you about here on this podcast, which I'm doing. And I'm going to give you 6 phases of the art of goal creating on what you need to be doing. And another reason why I thought about this would be a great thing to talk about on my podcast is because it's June the 24th already. Like, wow, 6 more days and we're end of the month and we're halfway through the year and we'll be hitting July. And I'm thinking, whoa, the year's flown by, right? And, many of you may have set yourselves a goal at the beginning of this year in January. Have you achieved them, right? That is the big question. And if you have, congratulations. Okay, so it's time now to create bigger goals, bigger than what you set yourself out in January this year. But if you haven't, and you're thinking there, wondering, well, what's happening? Why isn't everything that I'm doing is just not working? Well, there's probably some vital bits of information that you're missing out. And that's what I really want to talk to you about, is why goal creation is an art and why you need to master this art. So the art of goal creation is truly a creative process. That's what it is. The definition of creation is the manipulation of energy, because what you're doing is you're causing one type of energy to move to another type of energy, right? Because everything around us is energy. Therefore, our goal needs to be, it's an energy, it's a form that comes to us. We need to mold it. So this energy may never have moved in that direction before until you came along. Okay, so goal creation involves certain progressive steps, which I'm going to share with you in the energetic process. And some of these steps require the use of your higher mental faculties. Now, I have spoken about these faculties in my previous podcasts. And these faculties, when properly employed, they bring you into harmony with the natural laws of the universe, which we are all governed by. Whether you believe that or not, we're all governed by the universal laws. We're not governed by man-made laws. They're not man-made. They are universal laws, and we can't change them, right? So if you miss any of these progressive steps, nothing's going to happen for you. And maybe that's one of the reasons, in fact, I almost know that is the reason why you haven't moved towards your goal and why it's not manifested yet. And that's where 97% of the population actually lives, in that nothing happens space, right? So there is greatness all around you. You've got to use it. And that is key here. You've got to use it. There's greatness all around us. It's easy to be great because great people will help you. What is fantastic about all the conventions and the seminars that I go to and the people that I mix with is that the greatest in the business will come and share their ideas. They'll share their methods, their techniques with everyone else, right? And I have seen some great people share their techniques with me, one of them being Bob Proctor, who I continually get mentored by, right? So great people will share, and that is what is important. Great people will tell you their secrets. They'll look for them. They'll call them on the phone. You buy their books. Go where they are, get around them, talk to them. It's easy to be great when you get around great people. Okay? So think. That's all I want you to do is think. Think thoughts, feelings, and actions, because all of that forms attitude. So what I'd like to suggest that you seriously begin to think is to form the attitude that your life and how you live it is vitally important. Rather than treating the time here on this podcast as simply, it's just another podcast you're listening to. I want you to form the habit and the attitude that this is a special moment in your life. Something has brought you to this podcast. There's many, many podcasts that you can listen to. And there's some great podcasts out there. I know, I listen to a lot. But something's drawn you to this one. So treat it as a special moment in your life. And when you look back at your life, honestly, right, you can see there were a number of defining moments that determine the quality of your life. It's a well-known fact that a high percentage of the population in every part of the world, it doesn't matter where you are, miss out on much of the goodness that could be theirs. They miss out on opportunities because they don't see it as an opportunity, or their level of awareness is just not there. So if you make a decision now that in the next 6 months to a year, right, 5 years or even 5 years from now, when you look back at the time that you spent listening to this podcast and these series of podcasts that I'm doing, maybe spending some time with me, maybe getting in touch with me and saying, hey, Alpa, I'd really love to know more about what it is that you share and how you help people. Drop me an email, alpa@mindmatrix.com. Matrix is spelt with a double X, right? So when you look back at that time, that this too will be a significant and pinnacle moment of your life up to this point. I can guarantee you that. So, you've very likely been to many seminars, I guess. You've very likely kind of listened to a lot of podcasts in the past and possibly have heard some of what you're going to hear today in this podcast. But you have probably never heard it in the context that I'm going to present it to you over the next, I don't know, however long this podcast is going to be. So consider for a moment all the special instruments and things that we have that only a short time ago weren't even mere fantasies, right? Yet today they're extremely useful in improving the quality of your life. Think about the phone that you're using. Think about where you are, wherever you're listening to me on, right? Consider that for a moment, that's a special instrument. And those things that only a short time ago, they were mere fantasies. Okay, yet today, they're extremely useful and important to the quality of our lives. So what you've got to understand is the potential has always been here to create all of these wonderful tools that we're using on a day-to-day basis. Of course, we're living in a digital age, right? We use all these digital gadgets. What was lacking was the intelligent perception of the possibilities contained in the laws that govern our life. And as I've said before, we are all governed by universal laws, whether you believe it or not. The law of attraction, law of vibration, law of gestation, law of cause and effect, gravity. They're all universal laws. We can't change them. We've got to work with them. If we work with them, they'll work with us. If we work against them, they'll work against us. And that is the magical process. So permit the thought that you are magical, because you truly are. You are God's highest form of creation. And I'm not going to get all spiritual here, but there is an essence of spirituality here, because you are a spiritual being, right? And you truly are God's highest form of creation. And to flow through your entire being, there's an energy, because everything is energy. Everything around you is energy, right? So decide to utilize every moment that you're listening to me on this podcast effectively and follow my suggestions, and I guarantee things will start shifting for you. So sit back and relax, put your feet flat on the floor, take everything out of your hands and let your hands hang loose in your lap. So an important ingredient in the creation of this process and this podcast, there are 6 steps that I'm going to share with you. The art of goal creation. There's things that you need to know, and the 6 fundamental phases that you may not know of that is going to help you in achieving what it is that you want to achieve in your life. So the 6 phases of goal creation. Let's start off with phase 1. And this is really, really important. Where am I going? Ask yourself that question. Where am I going? Right? Where am I and where am I going? What do you really, really want? Where do you honestly want to end up? You've got to start where you're finishing. I'll say that again. You've got to start where you're finishing. Most people spend their whole life barely achieving tiny little goals in their life. Right? You have to get your mind into a proper state before you can really take it big. And the first step you have to do is you have to believe in make-believe. And it's the imagination that you've got to use, right? It's one of your mental faculties. As I said, I've spoken about our 6 higher mental faculties, which we're all gifted with as humans. But hardly anybody really knows what they are and how to effectively use them, right? So your imagination is the mental faculty that permits you to take your mind to that proper state and create what you would believe is big. And I love this quote by Napoleon Hill, who said, "The imagination is the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force that the world has ever known. In fact, in the 13 principles to success, imagination is number 5. It's your mental higher faculty, right? So use it, because everything is created twice in this universe. First, through somebody's thought process, which is where the imagination comes into play. And then secondly, when they take action into your physical world, right? So this lesson and the instruction that goes with it is designed to take you to places you have never, ever been. Just by sitting where you are, whether it's in your car, in your office chair, at work, wherever you are right now, on your sofa, at home, right? You can transport yourself to wherever you want to go through the powerful use of your imagination. You don't have to move an inch. All you need to do is use your imagination and close your eyes. So this is really, really powerful. It's a powerful tool that we've been gifted with as human beings, right? And as I say, this lesson and the instruction that goes with it is designed to take you to places that you've never, ever been. Everything you see around you is actually created twice, as I've said. Once in the mind of the artist, and then in the physical world where the artist is presently spending their time, much of their time. Right? Van Gogh, when he was asked how he did some, magnificent paintings, some of his magnificent work, how he did it, he said, "I dream my painting and then I paint my dream." That is amazing. I dream my painting and then I paint my dream. In other words, he imagines what he wants to paint and then he paints it. And although you may have and may view a number of concepts you would like to manifest, in this particular phase that I'm teaching you, you're not required to make a decision. You could say that the images your imagination has connected you with in this first phase are merely potential goals. Okay? And there are 2 other phases that you must go through before you make the critical choice of which of these potential goals will win your favor. In other words, we have lists of things that we want to achieve in our lives, don't we? Right? The car, the house, the dream relationship, the partner, the holidays, the whatever it is, the money, whatever it is, the business, relationships, whatever you're trying to manifest, finance, money. But you've got to whittle it down. You've got to whittle it down to 1 or 2 goals that you can work on at a time. How did the Wright brothers get their combined imagination to go and see the first airplane in flight? How did their imagination go there? They let it go there. They let their imagination go there. They permit themselves to daydream. These days, children in school are told off if they daydream. Stop daydreaming. It's like a big sin. But you've got to daydream. You've got to dream. You've got to imagine. Right? So that's phase 1. Phase 2, who am I? Really, really important question. You are involved in the art of goal creation here. This is what this podcast is about. And since it's you who's involved, it would make sense that you should know who you are. It's a well-known fact that a high percentage of the population know very, very little about themselves. And because they live in an ignorant state with respect to who they are and the infinite potential they possess, they end up spending a good part of their life as an extra in somebody else's movie. Somebody else is the hero or the heroine, and you're just a mere sidekick of your life. You've got to make yourself the star of your life. Are you the star of your life, or have you given importance to somebody else? Don't take my word for it. Think about this. If someone asked you who you are, how would you answer them? Most people would give their name. What if I asked you right now, who are you? Thank you for listening to my podcast and tuning in, but who are you? And the likely answer I'm going to get back is, you'll give me your name, right? I'm Sarah, I'm David, I'm Kevin, I'm Priya, I'm Amit. But you're not your name. And then you're not your body either, right? Some people, when they've asked that question, they'll point to their body. This is who I am. This is me, right? You're not your body. You've been given a body to live in, and that's where you live in right now. You're going to move out your body sooner or later. Yeah, so you've never heard anyone say, I'm hand or I'm arm. You say my hand and my arm. You're not a hand, you have a hand. And you're not your past, although many permit the past to be duplicated in the future, right? You're not your name, because your name was given to you. You can change your name if you really don't like it. You're not your body, as I've said. You've been given that body. You live in that body. You're going to move out of it. And then people often go to, when I ask people this question, they then go and talk to me about the tags that they've been given, i.e. their identity, as in CEO of so-and-so, I'm the managing director of such and such, I'm a housewife, I'm a mom, I'm a teacher, I'm a this, I'm a that. You're not any of those, because, again, that's just something that you're doing. They're just tags, they're just labels that have been given to you. So who are you? Really, really important question. Who am I? And I'll tell you who you are. You are a soul. You are pure, unadulterated spirit. You are God's highest form of creation. Again, I'm not going to get too spiritual in this, but just stay with me. You are a necessary part of all that is, of creation, right? There is not now, there never has been, and there never will be another expression of life exactly like you. You are one piece. You are unique. With you, all things are possible, right? And I read somewhere, it's written somewhere, I forget where I read this, but it said one person with God is a majority, right? So the second phase in goal creation, the art of goal creation, is you got to know who you are. Who am I? Phase 3, where am I now? And once you take an honest look at where you are, you will know what has to be changed, and you can change it, right? So if we are to be successful in setting and reaching our goals, there are certain pieces of information we must have. Information that's absolutely essential for us to get to where we are going. We must know where we are. Now, I'm not talking about where you are right now, whether you're listening to me in your car or you're in your office or you're at home on your settee. I'm not talking about that where you are. I'm talking about where are you right now in your life? And along with these pieces of information, there are certain principles that we must weld into our personality. You know, integrity is one of these principles. Integrity is high up there. Of course, it means honesty and the truth. You've got to be truthful to yourself. You've got to have that integrity within you to answer that question without a shadow of a doubt and without any hesitation. Where am I now? You've got to be honest with yourself. Where are you in your life? Are you really where you want to be? And perhaps it was best put by Shakespeare. And, you know, talking of Shakespeare, I went to Stratford-upon-Avon, of course, Shakespeare's hometown, with my fiancé a couple of weeks ago. And what an amazing place it is. You know, it's full of Shakespeare history. The house that he was born in, you know, where he was finally buried, all of that. It's all there. Amazing history. And in a famous line in Hamlet where Polonius says, and, you know, I'm just going to say what I remember, so forgive me if I'm saying this incorrectly, but he said, and this above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. And loosely translated, it means if we are true to ourselves, we cannot be false to anyone else. If our word to live by is integrity, then we have what we need in a pinch. Our sleep is untroubled, and we're respected wherever we go. This kind of truth is highly essential if you are to honestly establish where you are right now in your life. Consider this. I'm going to give you a scenario, and I want you to think about this. You parachute out of a plane and you land safely, right? And the only information you have is that you are on the North American continent, let's just say. And there are no street signs, no one is around you, there's no maps, no compass, no sat nav, none of that. It's overcast, so you can't really go by the sun, what the sun is telling you, right? You can't really see. Your objective is to get to New York, right? You're on the North American continent. Your objective is to get to New York. Which way would you start walking? Think about that. No street signs, no one around you, no maps, no compass, totally overcast, no sun. Which way would you start walking? Your objective is to get to New York. Now, the obvious truth is that you wouldn't really know which way to start walking. You could be on the outskirts of Albuquerque and begin heading towards Los Angeles. Right? I don't know if I've pronounced that correctly. Albuquerque, you know what I mean. Albuquerque. And, you could begin to be heading towards Los Angeles. If you're not completely honest with where you are, that's just an example I'm giving you, but my point is, if you're not completely honest with where you are in life, it won't really matter where you're going, because you won't know in which direction to start moving, and therefore you won't know what changes have to be made for you to get to where you want to go, because you've not really got any motivation, you've got no direction in life. So, as we've previously mentioned, honesty is essential. And since it's personal and you're not required to kind of share it with anyone, because it's a podcast, I'm not asking you to share it with anyone, but you can share it with me if you want. You can email me if you want. I want you to kind of, if it's safe for you to do so. If you're driving, then obviously you can't pull out a pen and paper. But if it's safe for you to do so, I want you to pull out a pen and paper. And I want you to write out, where are you right now in your life? And where do you really, really want to go? So that's phase 3 of the art of goal creation. Phase 4 is my critical choice. And a goal that is casually set and lightly taken is freely abandoned at the first obstacle. That's Zig Ziglar. And Zig Ziglar's advice is classic. I mean, it is so easy to casually play with your mind in this phase, but let's really think about what you're doing. You have invested a respectable amount of time at the moment. You're listening to me, you're listening to this podcast, and it will be almost criminal not to treat this seriously. Okay? And I know there's so many podcasts out there for you to listen to, but you've tuned into this podcast for a reason, okay? There's some amazing podcasts. I listen to so many myself, but you've chosen to invest a respectable amount of time to listen to this one. So it would be almost criminal not to treat this seriously. What I'm sharing with you is serious stuff. And you are going to be given information in this podcast that if you properly follow it, it will help you achieve any goal you choose. That's a promise. And I'm clearly scratching the surface with the information that I'm giving you throughout my podcasts. But if you listen to them and go back to the very first one and just start implementing everything that I've been telling you, then you will start to see a shift. Okay. Obviously, if you want to go in a bit more deeper with this, because there's lots more to what I'm telling you, to what I teach my clients, then you're most welcome to get in touch with me. As I say, you can drop me an email, and I'm happy to spend some time one-on-one with you to talk about what it is that I do and how myself and Bob Proctor can help you to really make that paradigm shift, which is what's required to get you to where you want to get to. So as I say, you've been given a lot of information that I'm giving you and helping you achieve a goal that you really want to achieve. So this is where we can say with absolute confidence, that if you can tell me what you want, I can show you how to get it. All right. And I've borrowed that quote from Bob Proctor, my mentor, because that's the first thing he said to me. He said, Alpa, if you can tell me what you want, I can show you how to get it. And he has showed me it time and time and time again. It's a repeated formula. Once you know the formula, there's no secret to success, but there certainly is a science behind it. And once you understand that science, it's a repeated formula that you can repeat for each and every goal for any area of your life. So before you make your critical choice, you will have painted in some words, some of the images in your imagination presented to your consciousness, okay? It's at this point in time that you pick the one image that you want more than any of the others. Remember I mentioned that we've all got lists, and if you haven't, I advise you to start making a list of all your wants, everything that you've always wanted, dream car, dream house, relationship, man, woman of your life, whatever it is, wherever you want to live, spirituality, if that's important to you, the way you live, healthy living, the way you look, all of that. Okay, everything that you've ever wanted. Finances, bring it all in. Make a list, go wild, right? I'm giving you an opportunity and I'm giving you a license to get absolutely crazy about what it is that you want. But then you've got to whittle it down. You've got to pick an image that you are drawn to, one or two images, right? One of the greatest things that has happened in our life is that we have become aware that we can choose what we seriously want. And we can make an irrevocable decision coupled with a firm commitment. And that's important to follow the directions, which I'm going to outline in phase 5, paying the price, right? In a period of time that will be determined by absolute law. Remember I said we are governed by universal laws, whether you believe that or not. We will enjoy in our material world the physical replica of what our imagination first presented to our consciousness, right? Because if you weren't to achieve it, you'd never have thought about it, right? So phase 5, as I say, paying the price, and that begins with a 3-step process. There's fantasy, there's theory, and there's fact. And, I previously quoted Albert Einstein where he said, when I examined myself and my methods of thought, I came to the conclusion that the gift of fantasy has meant more to me than any talent or than my talent for absorbing positive knowledge. Another quote that's coming to mind, I love quotes, I'm full of quotes and I just love them and I live by them, is another one by Albert Einstein. He was just absolutely amazing. He said, logic will take you from A to B. Imagination will take you everywhere. And I just want you to ponder about that as well. Logic takes you from A to B. Imagination takes you everywhere. We've been programmed and we've been conditioned to think from a very young age, think logically, think realistically. Yeah? Where does logic take you? Where does realism take you? Honestly. Everything that was ever created by a person began in the form of a fantasy. Right? So it's essential that we take the time to crystallize the image of whatever it is that we selected for a goal, and then paint that image in words so crystal clear that a child would understand it. And talking of children, again, if you go back to school, if you go back to education, kids have been slapped on the wrist because stop daydreaming. Yeah, I think I've mentioned it before. Stop daydreaming, stop dreaming, stop fantasizing. But everything starts off with a dream. We've got a dream. And that is one of our highest mental faculties that we've been given, imagination. Everything is created twice, one through the thought process and one in the fact when it actually appears in our physical world. So words are symbols. Every symbol has a corresponding image. As I want you to choose words that paint the picture so clearly that if the person beside you right now were to read your description of your goal that you have chosen, they would transfer to their mind a replica of the picture you have in your mind through the simple process of letting their eyes move across your written description. That's how crystal clear it needs to be. And that's a technique. That's a technique that I actually teach my clients on how to do and how to get really crystal clear with your vision. And once you complete that picture, it's necessary that you answer in the affirmative 2 questions which I'm going to ask you right now before your fantasy truly qualifies as a goal. There's two questions that you really need to ask yourself. First one is, am I able to cause this image to move into form? And I can answer that for you. You are able. You're able to do anything you want. Yeah? Anything you want. Remember, it is anything you want. Want is the prerequisite, right? Because you can't think. You can't think you want it. You can't say, I have to do it. I think I want to do it. You've got to want to do it. You've got to want to have it. You've got to want to have that dream, that vision. And then the second most important question, I think this is the most important out of all, is, am I willing to pay the price that must be paid to turn this image into physical form? Am I willing to do whatever it takes? Am I willing to put the time in? Am I willing to do what it takes? Okay, and the sixth phase is commitment, my commitment, your commitment. Although you may spend the time and money to attend programs and read books and attend seminars or whatever it is that you study, material-wise, if you are putting any kind of time and money in your personal growth and development, which I highly advise that you should, but if there is not a firm and irrevocable commitment from your part to carry through with all of your plans a year from now, then everything will be much the same as it is right now. I guarantee you that. If you don't take action, if you don't really put any plan into place, you will be exactly where you are a year from now, right? So there's been all kinds of wonderful material written on the necessity and the power of commitment. And that's something that I really, really want to talk to you about as well. Commitment is really, really important because you can be interested in a thing and you can be committed. There's a big difference in both. When you're interested, you will come up with all the excuses. I don't have the time. I really don't think this is for me. I don't have the money. I'm not in a right space right now. All of these things. I don't know how this is going to happen for me. These are all excuses. These are your paradigms that are talking to you. So, and they're the thought process that come to your mind when you're just interested in something. You're just gathering information. But when you're committed, you'll do whatever it takes. You will do whatever it takes and you will only accept results. I'm going to read something else here by somebody called W.H. Murray, who was from the Scottish Himalayan expedition. He said, until one is committed, there is hesitancy. The chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favour all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. In other words, once you make a committed decision, the how will be presented to you, the people that you need, the resources that you need, everything that you need to make your dream a reality will be presented to you because you're in harmony with your goal. And that is so, so crucial to the art of manifesting and the art of goal creation. Where am I going? As I say, that is really, really important to ask yourself, right? In all of history, there have been men and women who came from very, very ordinary backgrounds and yet set out with nothing but a dream in their mind. And they accomplished something absolutely extraordinary. You've got to really, really kind of understand that you can create anything you want. You can achieve anything you want. And there's people out there that have tried numerous attempts, but they never gave up. And remember, you're only a failure if you give up. You're only a failure if you stop, right? Success is not a straight road. There's many hurdles, there's many curves, there's many roundabouts you have to go through in order to achieve what it is that you want to achieve. But the biggest thing is that you must not give up. You might need to tweak your strategy a bit. You might need to do something slightly different, but never, ever give up. And some people that are coming to mind right now, Sir Edmund Hillary, of course, his quote, it's not the mountain we conquer, but it's ourselves. Of course, he was the first man to climb Mount Everest, right? But it took him 3 attempts before he actually conquered it, committing to his goal and getting better and better at what he was doing, he then conquered Mount Everest, and he was amazed once he did it. And he actually said, you don't have to be a fantastic hero to do certain things. You can be just an ordinary chap, sufficiently motivated to reach challenging goals. And that is the truth. That is what's going to get you to where you want to get to. You've got to be able to do whatever it takes. Thomas Edison, the man who invented the incandescent light, his quote, "I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that didn't work." 10,000 attempts it took him before he invented the incandescent light. In his lifetime, he received 1,093 patents and applied for another 500 to 600 that were not successfully patented. And on the day of his death, individuals and businesses around the world dimmed their lights to commemorate his passing when he invented that incandescent light. Okay, Henry Ford is another great man. And I quote when he said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're absolutely right. And what does he mean by that? Well, he means if you think you can't achieve anything, then you won't. You're absolutely right, because it's your thoughts that become things. And if you think you can achieve something, again, you're absolutely right, because your thoughts become things, right? So it's not the failure, it's how many times you get up and you start doing what it is that you really, really have a burning desire for. And that's really important. If your goal is not exciting or scaring you at the same time, then it's the wrong goal. You're not entertaining yourself with the right goal. Create or disintegrate. It's another law of the universe. In another and better world, things may be different. But in this world, to grow is to change, and to change is to have grown much. Okay. One of the most basic and yet dynamic laws of life, as I say, is create or disintegrate. It's a law. Every expression of life is moving you in a direction or another, and absolutely nothing will remain as it is. Nothing stays still, right? Everything is moving. We're living in an ocean of motion, right? You are either improving the quality of your life or you're taking away from it. The choice is absolutely yours, but it's a decision only you can make. And to make no decisions, this is quite important. Most people don't understand this. Even if you don't make a decision, you're actually making a decision, right? To make no decision is to make a decision. And the sad truth is that these decisions are generally unconsciously made. And when that happens, the person is generally going in the wrong direction. To live a creative life, goals are essential, right? The nucleus of your being is spiritual. Remember I said to you, you are a spiritual being. Spirit is always for expansion and full expansion. We always want more of what we love. Spirit is never for disintegration. So all of nature expands and expresses itself in a greater way. Nature knows no failures. Therefore, you should know no failures, right? So you've got to want to be able to do things. Dissatisfaction is the built-in motivator. When you're dissatisfied with something, you will want to create and become satisfied. Dissatisfaction with life is absolutely a healthy, creative state of mind. And you're probably thinking, Alpa, what are you talking about? It's true. It's the precursor of want, establishing itself in your consciousness. This is the way the perfection within you seeks expression with and through you, right? Dissatisfaction has given us cars, trains and planes. People were dissatisfied by the way we were traveling back in the years. And it's taken us out of the cave, and it's taken us out of the horse and carriage era that we were in. And it's put us into cars, right? So remember, you would still be illuminating your home with a wax candle. If Thomas Edison had not experienced a healthy dissatisfaction, 10,000 times, right? Dissatisfaction. So that was testing him. But then he gave us that greater comfort in the incandescent light, of course, now electricity, which we cannot live without. So when you become sufficiently dissatisfied with your life as it is, if you don't like the results that you're getting in your life, you will begin to think of ways to improve it, and you will decide on a goal. I have people come to me all the time. I don't really know what my goal is, right? And I think they've rejected the idea before they've even given it any conscious thought. Begin to think of how you are living. What are you doing relative to what you are capable of with the potential you possess? Remember I said you've got infinite potential. Keep thinking this way, and you can be surely dissatisfaction. And that dissatisfaction will set in if it hasn't already. And then you're going to think of ways, and you're going to think of your goal, right? Going where you've never been before, exploring the unknown is what it's all about. We're at the point where we begin to exercise our imagination, not as a game, but as a conscious, deliberate move to take us out of the ordinary. And it's propelling us into the extraordinary, which is part of the divine plan. Seeking awareness of your oneness with all that is, right? So we must clearly stamp in our mind that all things are possible. We must never permit individuals, people who are in power, to convince us otherwise, that we can't do it. You can achieve anything you want. Anything you want. I don't care what it is. I don't care what your situation right now is. You can come out of that situation. The choice is yours. It takes no more effort to think in prosperity than it does to think in poverty. Always remember that, right? It takes no more effort to think in prosperity than it does to think in poverty. And that's all I have for you. I hope you found this podcast valuable. If you have, drop me a line, drop me a message. Look me up on social media. I'm on Facebook at Mind Matrix Consulting. I'm on Instagram at Mind Matrix Consulting. I'm also on Twitter as well. Follow me there. Or if you want to have a chat more on a one-on-one basis about what it is that I've shared with you in this podcast and my previous podcast, then I invite you to drop me an email, alpa@mindmatrix.com. Matrix is spelt with a double X. You can check me out on my website as well. It's called mindmatrix.com. And I'd love to have a chat with you. I'd just love to see where you are in life, see what's going on for you, and how myself and Bob Proctor can help you get to where you really want to get to. So until the next podcast, and I won't leave it for so long, but keep going, keep achieving, keep believing. Thank you for listening. This is Alpa Pandya. Take care. Bye.
The Alpa Pandya Show is brought to you by Mind Matrix Coaching, your quantum leap to success.